Hello, my name is Laura Truskin, National Institute of Fitness and Sport, Health Fitness Specialist in Lincolnshire, Illinois. It's my pleasure to provide to you today a video tutorial on creating an email account as part of our active aging lifestyle resources that we provide for our communities. I hope you find the video enjoyable and informative in creating skills that will provide greater options and opportunities to communicate and share with friends and loved ones. Let's get started. The first thing I'd like to talk about today is what we call web browsers. Web browsers allow us to search various websites on the internet, and for purposes of our tutorial today, it's going to allow us to set up our email account. So I'd like to begin by showing you the symbols or icons, as they're also referred to, of the most commonly used web browsers. So the first one you see here is Microsoft Edge, and this is the one that I will be using today. The second one is Google Chrome, and that is what that icon looks like. The third is Safari, and that is what that icon looks like. And the fourth is Firefox, and that is what that icon looks like. So if we go to my bottom toolbar, I'm just placing my cursor here and I'm slowly moving it from left to right to see if I have any of those on this computer. Well, there you have it. I do have Google Chrome. And I slowly move this over, and there you go. There is Microsoft Edge. So before we go further, I'm going to place my cursor here in the lower left-hand corner of my computer where there's a Windows icon. On the left part of my mouse, I'm going to single click that. And here you will see a column or a vertical listing of all the things that are installed in my computer. I'm going to slowly scroll through that. And there we have Google Chrome, as I talked about, with that icon or symbol. And here we go. Here's Microsoft Edge. So I am going to single click into that. And there is the landing page there. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to enter in, so I'm going to take my cursor here and single click. I'm going to enter in gmail.com. And then press enter. And that is going to bring us to our first window where we begin to set up our email account. So the lower left-hand corner, you'll see where it says create account. So single click into that, and you'll see a drop down. It'll say for myself or to manage my business. For purposes of today, we will click on for myself. And this is where we will enter in our first and last name. So today my name is Kitty Carter. So now that the cursor was already in that box, but now to get to this next box, I'm going to take my cursor, place it right there and single click, enter in my last name. And now I will click into this. And you see how that pops up? Didn't even type it in. Kitty Carter 104. That happens because the system is telling us that this is an available username that has not already been taken that's available for you to use. It is a suggestion. You don't have to accept that suggestion. Below here it shows Carter Kitty 58 in blue text. That's another suggestion. I personally don't like any of those because I would like to use a combination of letters and numbers that are associated with me and something that would be easy for me to remember. So that being said, I'm going to place my cursor here and single click. I'm going to press my backspace key 3 times to get rid of those 3 numbers. And I'm going to add in 3 numbers that would be associated with a birth date of a member of my family. October 30. So we have that. And before we move forward, I'd like to draw your attention to the sentence that says you can use letters, numbers, and periods. What does that mean? That means you can use all letters, you can use all numbers, or you can use a combination of the two. If you have a common name, you'll probably have to use letters and numbers. If you don't have a common name, you may get away with just using letters. So now that we have that, let's just click to where it says password. So before we move further, I'm going to take a pen to paper and write down that username, Kitty Carter 1030 at Gmail, because that is my new email address. Please write that down. So I'll give you a moment to write down your new email address. Now I've clicked into the box that says password. And let's say I'll use Kitty Carter 5 and then an exclamation point. So I start typing and all I see is a bunch of periods. Why is that? I can't see what I'm typing. The reason is if you look to the right hand side here, there's an I with a backslash over that. That is why. It's basically a security that they have in place. So if somebody's looking over your shoulder, they can't see what you're typing. But for the most part, if we're doing this in the privacy of our home, I highly recommend checking that, clicking that. So you just have the I, or an I icon, if you will, looking at you. So now I can see what I'm typing. I'm going to type in Kitty Carter 5 and then a exclamation point. Let's see if that works. And then it's asking me to confirm that, so I click on this, Kitty Carter 5 exclamation point. Now, this is very important. It says use 8 or more characters with a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. That means you have to have all three, a letter, a number, and a symbol for it to be a valid password. So my symbol is the exclamation point, my number is the 5, and then the letters are Kitty Carter. Other than an exclamation point, you can use a number symbol, you can use a question mark, I believe, but play around with that. So before we move forward, write down your password on the same piece of paper that you have your new email address. Very important. And I'd also recommend if you write it down, take a photo of it or whatever other means you need to not only safeguard that information, but to make certain that we can remember that. Okay? Now we click on next. And this is just a dialog box here. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so now it's saying, Kitty, welcome to Google. So here we have this, and it's asking to put in a phone number for whatever reasons if we would need to recover our account. It is optional. So for the tutorial today, I'm not entering in a phone number. You can put in a recovery email address. If you do, I would highly recommend that the email address be of a spouse, if your spouse already has one, or a family member, somebody that you would trust. But I'm not going to enter that today. So that I'll just leave it as such. So I'll bring my cursor to this down arrow where it's asking me for my birth date. And that I absolutely do need to put in. So I'm going to put in March, click on the box that says day, enter in, and then the year. And for gender, you click on that down arrow here and you enter that. Okay, so that's what we have. Click on next. And here's the privacy and terms agreement, terms of service, privacy policy. This is standard for the industry, nothing out of the norm, but please take your time and read through that. Scroll down and I will press agree. And now when we come back up here, you see that spoolie by my cursor? See that? Round, spinning around, and then you see up here as that's moving. It just means that the system is working and it is creating my account. So here we have it. There's our inbox, and here's the window, and it says welcome, email by Google, simple, smart, and secure. So we're just going to click next, see what it has for us. So this is where the view is, as far as what the view is going to look like in your inbox. Here is the default, which is the one that is sort of hidden back here. If we click on comfortable, I'm not familiar with that. And then compact, I don't like it compact because it's harder on my eyes, so I'll just go back to default. Click that, and then click OK. Very good. So now we have here the inbox. And down here is just setup progress. It shows that our account has been created. Here are some other things on your own you may choose to look into, learn how to use Gmail. So this is probably the first one that on your own I would go into. It'll give you basic tutorials on things. This is if you'd like to have if you'd like to be able to read your email on your phone, on your smartphone. Import contacts in mail, change profile image. So right now this is our image, it's just a K, but you can put a photo in there. But again, that's outside the scope of this tutorial today. The thing I want us to do right now is to send an email to ourselves. So this oval here with the plus sign that says compose, I'm going to single click. And we are going to send an email to ourselves. So I single click, so you see this window here and it says to. So I'm going to put in, I'm sending it to myself, 10:30 at gmail.com. So that is our email address and what we wrote down on the piece of paper. I'll click here in the subject line, test email. And then just in the content of it, so I click here, just put in test email. So yes, so this line here is your subject line, right? This is your recipient, which is ourselves in this case. And then here is just the content of the email itself. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm just going to press send. And there you have it, that quick. There is our email. So let's click into that. So I'm just going to put the cursor here. So, we received an email. Let's click into it. Let's see what the email has to say. And that's what it is. So obviously, the email usually is not going to be that short from a friend or family member who's ever sending you an email, but that is the content of it. So let's say we've read through it. If we want to reply to their email, we'll click here and we will just type in hello. Right, so that's our reply to that email. And we click on send. And that shows up there. So now that we've sent that, this is important here. It says back to inbox. So we want to go back to that initial screen. We'll single click there. And there you have this email. Click on that. And here you go. It shows both the email that we received and the reply that we sent. If we click on here, sent, this shows our sent emails, and you see this shows, if we click onto that, it shows that we sent that reply that says hello. This is important. I always click on that to make sure, in fact, that my reply did send and that it did go to that intended recipient. So the last thing I like to talk about is for whatever reasons, if you're not going to be using Microsoft Edge or Safari, if you plan on using Google Chrome, I'm going to click on that. Instead of typing in gmail.com here, you can go right there. See in the upper right hand corner it says Gmail? Double click and you will have that same window that we had when we were creating our email account through Microsoft Edge. So again, lower left-hand side, we click on that, create account, the drop-down menu, we would click on for myself, and there we have it all over again, first name, last name, and everything that we've gone through. So that covers it for today in creating an email account. I hope you enjoyed our journey together in creating an email account. Feel free to reach out to your NIFS wellness staff for any further questions you may have. Thanks again for watching and have a great rest of your day.